The wine glass trembles in Isabella's hand as she watches Liam move through their kitchen. With that maddening calm of his, steam rises from the pasta he's stirring, but the heat in the room has nothing to do with cooking. She can feel her pulse hammering against her throat, can taste the confession that's been burning on her tongue for weeks. "You're quiet tonight," he says without turning around, his voice carrying that low, measured tone that used to comfort her. Now it makes her skin prickle with something between guilt and defiance. She sets down the glass harder than necessary. The sound echoes. "Maybe I have something to say." Now he turns. Those dark eyes of his, the ones that used to make her forget her own name. During their early dating days, search her face with an intensity that makes her stomach flip. He leans against the counter, crossing his arms, and the simple white button-down he's wearing stretches across his chest in a way that shouldn't distract her. Not now. Not when she's about to shatter everything. Then say it. The challenge in his voice makes her chin lift. This is Liam, her husband of 5 years. The man who brings her coffee in bed and remembers every anniversary. But there's something else there now. Something that makes her feel like prey being circled by a predator she didn't know existed. "I slept with Marcus." The words fall into the space between them like stones dropped into still water. "My boss." It's been happening. For months, Liam doesn't move, doesn't blink. The only sign he's heard her is the slight tightening of his jaw, a muscle jumping beneath his skin. The silence stretches until she wants to scream just to break it. It's no big deal, really. She continues, the lie bitter on her tongue. Because it was a big deal. Every stolen moment in Marcus's office, every heated glance across the conference table, every time she came home to Liam with another man's touch still burning on her skin. It was all a very big deal indeed. Liam's lips curve into something that might be called a smile if you didn't look too closely. It doesn't reach his eyes. "No big deal," he repeats, his voice soft as silk and twice as dangerous. He pushes off from the counter with fluid grace, and for a moment she thinks he's going to cross to her, maybe grab her shoulders and shake her, maybe kiss her until she can't think straight to anything but this unnatural stillness. Instead, he reaches into his jacket pocket. The envelope he pulls out is plain white, unremarkable except for the way her name is written across the front in his precise handwriting. Isabella, not Izzy, not sweetheart, not any of the pet names that usually make her melt. He holds it out to her, and when she doesn't immediately take it, he steps closer, close enough that she can smell his cologne cedar and something darker. That makes her remember their wedding night, remember the way he'd undressed her with such careful reverence. She'd felt like something precious. "Take it," he says, and there's something in his voice now that makes her hands shake as she reaches for the envelope. Their fingers brush during the exchange. The contact is electric, sending heat shooting up her arm, and she sees something flicker in his eyes, hunger, anger, something that makes her breath catch. "Open it," he whispers, and the way he says it sounds like a benediction and a threat all at once. Isabella's fingers tremble as she tears open the envelope, acutely aware of Liam watching her every movement. The paper feels expensive beneath her fingertips, heavier than it should be for something that might destroy her world. The first thing she sees makes her blood turn to ice water in her veins. Bank statements, their joint account, the one they'd opened together when they bought this house, when they dreamed about filling it with children and laughter and a lifetime of ordinary happiness. Half the money gone, withdrawn in careful increments over the past 2 months, signed off with Liam's neat signature. "You've been planning this," she breathes, looking up at him with new eyes. This man she married, this quiet accountant who brings her flowers on random Tuesdays and never raises his voice. When did he become someone capable of such calculated moves? "Keep looking," he says, and there's something almost gentle in his tone now. Almost. Her hands shake harder as she flips to the next page, and the next. Photographs, high resolution, time-stamped, detailed enough that she can see the flush on her cheeks as Marcus presses her against his office window, the way her skirt rides up her thighs, the expression of desperate hunger on her face that she didn't know anyone could capture. "Oh God." The words escape her like a prayer, like a curse. "Beautiful shots," Liam says conversationally, moving closer, until she can feel the heat radiating from his body. "You look transported, happy even." She wants to deny it, wants to claim it was just physical, just scratching an itch. But the evidence is right there in glossy color. The way she's clinging to Marcus, the way her head is thrown back. In obvious pleasure, she looks like a woman in love. The final page makes her legs go weak. A single typed note. The font is precise and unremarkable as everything else about this impossible evening. Consider this a reset. Decide carefully what you want next. I've already made my move. A reset, she whispers, the word tasting foreign. On her tongue. Liam reaches out, his fingers brushing along her jawline with a tenderness that makes her shiver. You said it was no big deal, so this shouldn't be either, Liam, SHH. His thumb traces across her lower lip, and she's shocked by the way her body responds. Heat pooling low in her belly despite everything. You made your choice, Isabella. You chose excitement over security, passion over this. He gestures around their carefully curated life, the matching dishes, the coordinated furniture, the wedding photos on the mantel. I never said I didn't want this, she protests, but even as the words leave her mouth, she knows they sound hollow. Didn't you? His hand drops away from her face, and immediately she wants it back. When was the last time you looked at me? The way you look at him in these pictures, the question hangs between them like a blade, because she can't remember, can't recall the last time Liam made her feel wild and desperate and alive in the way Marcus does. Their marriage had settled into comfortable routine years ago, predictable sex on Saturday nights, shared Netflix passwords, discussion of retirement, funds over morning coffee. Safe, boring, everything she'd convinced herself she wanted. You're not angry, she realizes, studying his face. You're not even surprised. I've known for weeks, he admits, his voice dropping to that dangerous whisper again. I've been watching, waiting, planning. The kitchen suddenly feels too small, the air too thick. Isabella backs away from him, but there's nowhere to go. The counter stops her retreat, trapping her between granite and the stranger her husband has become. What do you want from me? She asks. Liam's smile returns, slow and predatory, and nothing like the man who kisses her goodbye each morning. I want you to choose, he says simply, but this time, choose with full knowledge of the consequences. Isabella's breath comes in short bursts as Liam closes the distance between them. The envelope falls from her nerveless fingers, photographs scattering across the kitchen floor like fallen leaves. She's trapped between the counter and his approaching form, and for the first time in their marriage, she feels like she doesn't know this man at all. You've been playing games, he says, his voice a low rumble that she feels in her bones. With me, with him, with yourself. It wasn't a game, wasn't it? He places his hands on either side of her, palms flat against the granite, caging her in. The heat from his body makes her dizzy, makes her remember what it felt like in the beginning when he'd corner her like this in their tiny first apartment, when the chemistry between them had been electric and all-consuming. When had that changed? When had comfortable become boring? You wanted to feel desired, he continues, his breath warm against her ear. Wanted to feel like someone couldn't resist you, like you were worth risking everything for. His words cut too close to the truth. She turns her head away, but he catches her chin with gentle fingers, forcing her to meet his gaze. I know because I've been feeling the same thing. The confession stops her heart. What? Did you think I didn't notice you pulling away? The way you'd check your phone during dinner? The way you'd shower immediately after coming home from work? His thumb traces along her jawline, and she shivers despite herself. The way you stopped looking at me like I mattered? Guilt crashes over her in waves, but underneath it is something else, something that makes her pulse quicken and her skin flush. This intensity in his eyes, this barely controlled energy radiating from him, is more alive than he's been in months. So I started paying attention, he says, really paying attention, and you know what I discovered? She shakes her head, not trusting her voice. I discovered that my wife is beautiful when she's being bad. His fingers trail down her throat, and she can't suppress the small gasp that escapes her. I discovered that watching you want someone else made me want you more than I have in years. Liam, her voice is barely a whisper. I sat in the parking garage and watched him kiss you against your car. His lips are almost touching her ear now, his voice dark velvet. I saw the way you melted into him, the way you let him lift you onto the hood, And all I could think about was how I wanted to be the one making you look like that. Heat floods through her, pooling between her thighs in a way that makes her feel guilty and desperate all at once. This isn't how this conversation was supposed to go. She'd expected anger, accusations, maybe lawyers' numbers written on scraps of paper. Not this dark confession that's making her body respond to her husband in ways it hasn't in years. The photos she manages, I took them myself. His admission is a breath against her skin. From the building across the street. High-powered lens, perfect angles. You looked so alive. Isabella, so hungry. I couldn't look away. Her knees go weak. You watched us, I watched you. His hands slide down to rest on her hips, thumbs tracing small circles that make her breath catch. I watched you come apart for him, and I wanted to hate it. Wanted to hate you. But instead, he doesn't finish the sentence, but she can feel the evidence of his arousal pressing against her through his slacks. The realization that her husband has been getting off on her affair sends a shock of want through her that she doesn't want to examine too closely. Instead, I planned this, he continues, this moment, this choice. What choice? The words come out breathier than she intends. His smile is pure sin. You can have your safe little affair, keep sneaking around, thinking you're getting away with something while I pretend not to know. His fingers tighten on her hips, pulling her flush against him. Or you can have this, me, the real me, the one who's been watching you and wanting you and planning exactly how to make you remember why you married me in the first place. His lips brush against her temple, feather light, but you can't have both. The kitchen spins around her. This is Liam steady, predictable Liam talking like a man who could consume her whole. If she let him, talking like a man who wants to. The money, she starts, insurance. He says simply, in case you choose wrong. Isabella's world tilts on its axis as Liam's words sink in. Her husband, her quiet, methodical husband, has been orchestrating this entire scenario like some dark chess master. The thought should terrify her. Instead, it sends liquid fire racing through her veins. You're different, she whispers, her palms flat against his chest. She can feel his heartbeat through the thin cotton of his shirt, strong and steady despite the charged atmosphere crackling between them. No, he says, his voice rough with something that sounds like years of suppressed hunger. I'm exactly who I've always been. You just stopped paying attention. His fingers find the hem of her silk blouse, toying with the fabric in a way that makes her breath hitch. Such a small touch, but her body responds as if he's touched her everywhere. Do you remember our first night together? He asks, his lips ghosting along her jawline. In that hotel room in Chicago, after the conference, where we met. She does. God, she does. The way he'd pressed her against the door the moment it closed behind them. The way he'd made her forget her own name with nothing but his mouth and his clever fingers. The way she'd felt claimed, possessed, absolutely consumed by this quiet man who'd been watching her across crowded conference rooms all week. I remember, she breathes. You begged me not to stop. His teeth graze her earlobe, and she arches into him involuntarily. You said you'd never felt anything like what I made you feel. Liam, when did I stop making you feel that way? The question is raw, vulnerable, and it cuts straight to her heart. You didn't stop, she admits, the truth scraping her throat raw. I did. I stopped letting myself feel it. It's the most honest thing she's said all evening. Somewhere along the way, she'd convinced herself that steady love was lesser than passionate obsession, that comfortable was the enemy of exciting, that a man who loved her enough to learn exactly how she took her coffee couldn't possibly be the same man who could make her lose her mind with wanting. Why? His hands frame her face, forcing her to meet his eyes. There's pain there, mixed with the heat, and it makes her chest ache. Because it was too much, she whispers. Because loving you that much, wanting you that much, it scared me. So I pulled back, made it safe, and then you went looking for dangerous somewhere else. She nods, tears threatening. I'm sorry. God, Liam, I'm so sorry. He silences her with a kiss that steals her breath and her sanity in equal measure. This isn't the gentle, familiar kiss of their married life. This is the kiss of the man who pursued her with single-minded intensity 5 years ago, who made her feel like the only woman in the world worth having. When he pulls back, her lips are swollen and her knees are threatening to give out entirely. I don't want your apologies, he says against her mouth. I want your choice. I choose you. She says without hesitation, the words torn from somewhere deep inside her. I choose this. I choose us. Something flickers in his eyes, triumph, relief, desire so intense it makes her tremble. Then prove it, he says, his voice dropping to that dangerous whisper that makes her core clench with what? Show me you mean it. Her hands go to his shirt, fingers fumbling with buttons in her haste to touch him, to feel the warm skin she's been taking for granted for too long. When her palms finally connect with his chest, he hisses between his teeth, Isabella. Her name, on his lips, sounds like a prayer and a curse. She rises on her toes, pressing her body fully against his, and whispers against his ear, make me remember why I married you. His control snaps like a wire pulled too tight. In one fluid motion, he lifts her onto the counter, stepping between her legs and claiming her mouth again with a hunger that makes her head spin. This is her husband, her careful, considerate husband, kissing her like he wants to devour her whole. This is what I wanted, he says against her throat, his voice rough with need. To see you look at me the way you looked at him. To make you want me the way you wanted him more, she gasps, because it's true. This feeling building between them is more intense than anything she felt with Marcus. More desperate and consuming and right. More, he agrees, and his smile is pure predation as he reaches for the buttons of her blouse. Isabella's world narrows to the feeling of Liam's hands on her skin, to the way he's looking at her, like she's something precious he thought he'd lost forever. The kitchen around them might as well not exist. There's only this moment, this man, who's been hers for 5 years, but who she's seeing clearly for the first time in too long. I missed you, she whispers, her fingers tangling in his dark hair as he traces kisses along her collarbone. God, Liam, I missed you so much and I didn't even realize it. He pulls back to look at her, his eyes dark with desire, but also something deeper, forgiveness, understanding, love so profound it makes her chest tight. I know, he says simply. We both got lost somewhere along the way. His thumb traces her lower lip, and she can see her reflection in his eyes, disheveled, flushed, more alive than she's felt in months. This is who she used to be with him, before routine and comfort dulled the sharp edges of their passion. The photos, she says suddenly. You said you couldn't look away. A flush creeps up his neck, and for a moment he looks almost vulnerable. You were so beautiful, so free. I'd forgotten what you looked like when you let yourself feel everything. Jealous. The question slips out, half teasing, half genuinely curious. Devastated, he admits, not because you wanted someone else, but because I thought I'd lost the ability to make you want me like that. She cups his face in her hands, studying the features she knows better than her own reflection. Strong jaw, those dark eyes that have always seen too much, the mouth that used to make her forget her own name. When had she stopped noticing how beautiful he is? You never lost it, she says fiercely. I just stopped letting myself see it. He leans into her touch, eyes closing. Briefly, the affair is over, she says without hesitation. Completely over. I'll quit if I have to. You don't have to quit. His smile is small but genuine. You just have to come home to me at the end of every day and remember who you belong to. The possessiveness in his voice sends heat spiraling through her. This is what she'd been craving, without knowing it. Not just desire, but claim. Not just want, but possession that goes both ways. And the money, she asks, was never about punishment, he says, his hands settling on her waist. It was about making sure you understood that choices have consequences, that this us isn't something you can take for granted anymore. She understands. The withdrawn money, the photographs, the careful orchestration of this evening. It wasn't revenge. It was a wake-up call, a reset, just like his note said. So what happens now? She asks. His smile turns wicked. Now we start over. No more routine. No more taking each other for granted. No more safe. Dangerous can be good, she agrees, thinking about the way her pulse still races when he looks at her. Like this. I was thinking we could start with a proper honeymoon, he says, his fingers toying with the edge of her skirt. Somewhere no one knows us. Somewhere we can remember how to be obsessed with each other. The thought makes her breath catch. What about work? I already requested the time off. For both of us. His admission makes her laugh, a real, genuine laugh that feels like coming home. You were that confident I'd choose you. I was hopeful. He corrects, and the vulnerability in those words makes her heart clench. She kisses him then, pouring 5 years of love and regret and renewed promise into the contact. When they break apart, both of them are breathing hard. I choose you, she says again, because it bears repeating. I choose us. I choose this second chance. Then let's not waste it, he says, lifting her from the counter with easy strength. As he carries her toward their bedroom, their marriage bed that will now mean something different, something deeper, Isabella catches sight of the scattered photographs on the kitchen floor, evidence of her mistakes, but also somehow evidence of their salvation. Tomorrow she'll face Marcus. Will end what never should have started. She'll probably have to find a new job eventually. Will definitely have to rebuild trust that she carelessly broke. But tonight, she's exactly where she belongs, in the arms of the man who loved her enough to fight for her, even when she was too lost to fight for herself. I love you, she whispers against his throat. I know, he says, kicking their bedroom door closed behind them. Now let me show you how much I love you back. And as he sets her down beside their bed, as he looks at her with eyes full of dark promise and infinite tenderness, Isabella realizes that some resets are worth everything you have to give up to get them. Some love stories are worth rewriting from the beginning.